What is happening, everybody? Dirty D's out here in the cave. I went for a nice long walk today, and I'm combining this with the motorcycle ride that I did. We're gonna splice some of these scenes together, but here's what I want to talk about today. It's the number one thing that I learned from my dad. And here's what got me to thinking about it. You know, this whole week, man, I've still been thinking about that horrible helicopter accident out there in Calabasas, California, and the 9 people who lost their lives. And as I'm listening to some of the tributes out there to these folks, there's a recurring theme, which is hold on tight to the people that you've got around you, because tomorrow's not promised to any of us. I've really been thinking about that a lot this week. And, you know, it has got me to make a few more phone calls and give out a few more hugs than I typically would. And the reason being, man, this event has really driven home the fact that any of us could be snatched away in the blink of an eye. You know, it doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. What I want to do today is I want to pass along a thank you. I want to pass along a lesson. And I really just kind of want to honor my dad, because he's somebody who's meant a whole heck of a lot to me in my life. And I know it can be a funky situation with dads, right? I mean, I'm a father myself, and not too long ago, I was having a discussion with my youngest boy. It was a pretty direct conversation in the kitchen, and his mom was there, and I could see the look on his face, like he was already getting a little bit frustrated or pissed off or whatever. And I finally said, hey, look, let me break it down for you guys like this. Everybody doesn't like their dad sometimes. And they both started laughing, and we had a good laugh about it, and it was kind of getting a little bit tense, but we all had a good laugh about it, because it's true, man. I mean, look, dads are often a little more direct in their discipline and in their tone sometimes than the mom is, and that's just what dad's gonna have to live with. But you know what? We've learned some incredible lessons from them. I'm one of the lucky ones who I can go out and go see my dad. He lives out in a tiny little city just outside of San Antonio. Beautiful spot, gorgeous home, retired. He's in his 70s, still healthy, man. He was a long distance runner his whole life, still runs. I mean, man, I just can't say enough about the guy. I'm gonna issue you a challenge at the end of this video. Anyway, let me tell you a quick story about my dad. He grew up not knowing English. He didn't know English. So then they moved to San Antonio, Texas. He starts going to school, and he ends up getting held back a grade because he didn't know English. He had teachers telling him that he wasn't college material. What ends up happening? Not only graduating from college, being the first person in the family history to graduate college, he goes a step further and gets his master's degree in English, becomes an English teacher, moves forward even more, and becomes an administrator. So now he's a vice principal. He works at some high schools, he works at some other schools, ends up becoming the vice principal of the middle school that he went to. Man, the story is insane. I mean, you could make a movie about this guy's life. The vice principal is the one who deals mainly with the kids, and the principal oftentimes deals with the faculty. So it's the vice principal you're going to deal with for discipline and whatnot. So there were a couple of occasions where he would call the parents of a kid who was acting up, truancy and whatnot. The parent would come into his office, and it was somebody that he knew as a kid. They were still in the courts. They hadn't broken out. It was generational poverty, man. And so, you know, the lesson that I learned from this story, my dad's life story, was perseverance, push through, and believe in yourself more than anybody else. Don't trust people, and don't listen to people who don't believe in you, because there are going to be plenty of naysayers. There are going to be plenty of people who have never accomplished what you're setting out to accomplish, yet they're going to try to tell you that you can't get it done. We've all seen it. We've all heard it. I know you have. I know I have. And here's the other thing that I've learned from them. Be very grateful for the people around you, but also recognize that some of the people around you don't need to be there. And there may be times where you have to leave them in the dust. I've had to do this in my own personal life. Some of my best friends in the past, you know, we've come to a crossroads where we say, hey, look, man, either I'm going to keep going down this road with you, or I got to go over on this road, and I hope you come with me. But if you're staying where you're at, I'm out. Don't fall into that trap of thinking that where you are today is where you're going to end up for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years old, if you're 50 years old, or if you're 70 years old. you can make a change in your life in a split second. You can make that determination to move in a whole different direction. And the only thing that's going to hold you back is what's happening in your own mind. I think about people who, turn their life around, who at one time were going down a really, really tough path, man, of drugs, alcohol, abuse, and they turn their life around, man, and turn it into pure gold. Each and every one of us is capable of doing that. Here's the challenge, should you choose to accept it. We're gonna call it the What I Learned from a Legend Challenge. It might be somebody who's in your life today. It might be somebody who's not with us anymore. It could be a family member, a friend, an acquaintance, something you read out of a book. But let's honor those people by passing forward the things that we've learned. Just want you to keep one thing in mind, guys and gals. There's only one person who can determine what happens to you. I want to send a shout out to him, Pops. I know sometimes you watch these videos. Just want to tell you how much I love you, how much I appreciate you. I hope that a few of you take me up on this, because I'd really like to know what you learned, some of the most important lessons that you learned in your life from the legends in your life. And if they're still around, make those phone calls, give those extra hugs. All right, peeps, I'm getting ready to head on back to the bike and get me on a nice little ride home. We'll see you out there in the mother humming streets, babies. And remember, be good to each other, man. Just like Randy's ride says, my boy Randy's shout out, man. We'll see you guys later.